Hi, this is Peter That's Clairvoyant here, and I'm doing your astrology reading now for Libra November 2019. So this is Libra 2019 November. Right, so I just feel so you Librans, yes, you can be the person of balance. You like to know where everything is and where everything's kind of going, which is great. You know, that's who you are, your natural way. But I do get the feeling this next month or two, you are going to be thinking a little bit out the box. In other words, I've got you feeling a little bit adventurous, perhaps sort of venturing out your comfort zone a little bit. And I feel like that will be really good. And I feel like there's going to be nothing wrong with that. And I just feel so just embrace that, you know, all in all aspects, whether it be to do with career, to relationships or friendships, you know, whatever kind of situation it kind of comes in where you just feel as though you're perhaps pushing the boundaries a little bit of what you would normally do and think and act with people or situations, because it just feels though it's like it's opening up the doors for you. And I feel like as you walk through this new path, I feel as though it's going to be quite exciting, and I think you should really embrace it. So I'm not saying like you just suddenly got to change, become a different person, a different personality. It's just you venturing out a little bit more. So let's say if 100% you would normally just, oh no, I like everything to be straight down the middle, it's like there could be 10-20% here a little bit where I'm venturing on a different path slightly, being a bit more adventurous. And even though it's not a great deal, it doesn't sound a lot to some people, you know, but to you it's a big change, and you do what you feel so is best, and don't worry the way other people will look at you and what you're doing. You know, if they're saying, oh, you know, you could do a bit more than that, don't worry about it. To you, you're making a big change. Embrace it. Okay, now when it comes to relationships, Libra, I just get the feeling some of you now are in the situation where I just feel so, feeling a little bit like dissatisfied. But you sometimes just like to make sure everybody's happy, you're pleasing everybody, but you're not pleasing yourself. So you've got to decide now whether you can fix things and put things right, or is it time to kind of let go and move on? So that's something you've got to sort out. But some of you are going to be quite happy and quite settled, but you may be wanting a little bit more balance and a little bit more thought going back to you. So in other words, your partners are thinking about your needs a little bit, because sometimes they're not always thinking what you want, they're focusing on what they're doing. So you're looking for this a little bit more balance, but I feel like you'll get that balance and you'll sort it out. For those of you who are single, this is where I feel so things get a little bit interesting, a bit complicated. Those of you that are born at the beginning of your star sign, I feel as though you're going to start to feel a bit more adventurous, where it just feels though you'll be looking at relationships where you're kind of getting you want, and there may not be so much commitment to it. In other words, you're being a little bit free. It's almost like you could be thinking to yourself, well, I'll see where it goes. I'm not committing, but we'll just see what happens. Or it could be something that draws you and gets you out of a situation where you're at. In other words, it's like a stepping stone. But then some of you that are born towards the end, I feel so you're looking for something specific, and you're going to wait until you get that specific connection. So it's absolutely fine, whichever way you want to look at it. Some of you, though, are going to be looking at past relationships, and you may want to go back to the past. And I'm not saying don't, but just make sure it's what you truly want, because sometimes, again, you can be very set in your ways, and past relationships haven't worked for a reason. And it could be because you haven't done certain things, or it could be them. So you'll have to look at it and analyze it on that situation the way it was back then. So I'm not saying don't go back, but just make sure you're on the right path and it is in balance for you and that other person as well. As otherwise, if it's not in balance for you or the other person, you're just picking up where they left off, and it just won't work again, and you're causing yourself more misery and more trauma. But if you do tweak the balance, whichever way it is, then I do feel like it could work this time around. So see how you feel. When it comes to family, it just feels like give yourself a bit of breathing space. Sometimes I feel like you're connecting too much with them, or you're relying on too much with them, and I feel like you need a little bit of time for you. So just make sure things are kind of working in tandem there. But I do also feel as though one particular family, I just get the feeling they could be going through a split, and this will upset you a little bit. But I just feel as though just try and be there for them, help them along, but don't try and fix things for them. What you must do is say, well, look, if you can go this path, this is what I think will happen. If you go this path, that will happen. In other words, give them options. And at least that way you're being there for them, but you're not really telling them what to do. And that sort of takes the pressure off you. Okay, and some of you Libras are very intuitive, and you could tap into that intuitiveness a little bit and do something with it. And I feel that would be really quite exciting, because you are the star sign of fairness, and fairness sort of runs through your veins. And I feel like, you can see their side of things and the other person's side of things, and you could really guide them on the right path. And if you don't want to go down in an intuitive level, like spiritual level, perhaps look at counselling. You could be very good at that, or social work. Could suit your personality down to the ground. Really, I suppose I'm tapping in to your career with this. And I just think, there's great things that I feel that you could be doing where you're kind of out there guiding and helping people. But then you've got to learn to switch off and not take it home with you. So otherwise, it will really drain your energy. So in some ways, it's perfect for you. But in some ways, it's difficult for you. But if you can learn to switch off and just focus on what you're doing, then go home and not let it get to you, then I feel like, you'd be really, really good at it. Money, I just feel so money, I've got it being a little bit up and down. It's not bad, but I do feel so as you focus on your career goals, money will be fine. But whatever you do, don't go spending money to make you feel good, because that will just make things worse in the long term. So it's like I feel so you've got to look after money, and then it will look after you. Health-wise, I just get the feeling, just focus on sort of your diet and your well-being, and anything to do with your mind and your focus, because that just keeps things ticking along nicely. But other than that, I think things are looking pretty good for you. But I just get the feeling now you've got some big changes coming up over the next few months. You've got to be willing to embrace them, and you've got to be willing to let new people in that are a little bit perhaps different than you, or think differently than you. And then as you do that and you get on with these people, then I think, things are going to be looking quite optimistic. But don't put yourself out too much, or don't change too much. Just go with your own pace of doing things. In other words, if it takes you a bit of time to get all this balance right, it takes you a bit of time. But don't be pushed along by other people wanting you to move quicker to keep up with them, because that just won't work for you. You've got to be true to your own needs and the way you're going to do things for you. And then as you do that, you'll be absolutely fine. Okay, so I hope all that's made sense to you. If you do want to connect with me for a private reading, I've got an offer for you from a YouTube fan. So it's £16. And if you want to pay that through the website, I can do a discount code for you to make sure you get that price, and that will be code YouTube, all in one word, so YouTube. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do refer back to your October videos, because we're in October now, and obviously this is looking forward towards November. So I wish you well, I wish you all the best, and I hope this has made sense to you. So have a great day, great month, and thank you for listening. And please do like and share with your friends and family in your face groups. That would be great. Thank you. Bye bye now.